I have so much respect for every sawmill that has survived to this point. Like, we are 4 generations. Like, how many people can say they worked with their dad and their grandpa in the same building?
Today, we're talking to KayCee and KelCee Hallstrom, the dynamic twin duo behind a family sawmill and custom glulam beam plant, Zip-O-Log Mills and Zip-O-Laminators.
When men have to say, "It's so nice to see women here," to me, that's cringy.
They share some hilarious and also thoughtful perspectives on their own career path growing up in the family business, transitioning into leadership roles, what they've learned along the way.
Those are the people you need, but you got to keep them hungry, and it's fun to have those people that go, I want more, I want more. It doesn't matter what industry you're in.
And the importance of communicating the career possibilities that the timber industry offers.
Sawdust is just man glitter, right?
All right.
The Wood World Podcast.
Welcome to the Wood World Podcast. This episode, with us today, we have KayCee and KelCee. They're twins. A lot of really cool stories that they have experienced in their family business. Zip-O-Log Mills and Zip-O-Laminators have a really exciting story. We've worked with you all for quite some time. Jessica, love for you to take it away.
Okay, well, first of all, he just mentioned that y'all are twins, and I feel like there's like a twin hierarchy. I am not a twin, but I have a set, and they're just like the regular identical ones, but there's like a hierarchy. There's twins in their class that are fraternal, so it's a boy and a girl, and they're always like, yeah, you know, the Terrys, whereas everyone calls them the twins. So yeah, okay, so tell me, are y'all are identical?
Yep, we are identical mirror twins. So for those who don't know, identical mirror twins are when the egg splits, but then you are reflective images. So for example, I'm left-handed and my sister KelCee is right-handed. And so like even our cowlicks would be opposite, even losing one tooth on one side than the other, just twins weirdness times 2. And so like Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen, for the famous twins, those are mirror twins. You can see it in their videos when they pick up the phones. They're opposite hands. In our high school class, actually, we only had 135 in the class, and we had 4 sets of twins. Yeah.
What is in the
Something's
water?
in the water.
Yeah, something's in the water.
But I think it's definitely more exciting, like, when you're in college, especially if you go to separate colleges or you get older, then you kind of really appreciate, because, you know, you're forced to do all this stuff together, especially if you're identical, of like same sports, same camps, all the stuff. And so getting our individuality took until our college time to really get that started. And then, and because I finished school earlier, I got a chance to be in production first off, and KelCee was part-time school and work. So she was kind of kept in the admin area when she first started. And so I was out on the floor. So I got to build those relationships. I got to have the experience. And then KelCee comes through a couple of years later, and that put some complexities in her experience because they were used to me, but they see the same person coming in, but very different personality wise and experience wise. So that was one of the first struggles with us working in the same place, because initially KelCee was at the crossarm company and I was at the sawmill. So there really wasn't any crossover. But then when she started moving over to the sawmill side, she started an admin. Then we got her out to production also, just so she could experience that. But again, that was years after me, but still those people were just used to me. Then they experienced a whole new person that looked exactly the same.
We're still the owner's kids, like when we first started, but we also weren't afraid to get our hands dirty and be in the, like, we started at 5:30 when they started. We didn't have princess hours. Like that wouldn't have gone well. And we knew that, and we were willing to do it because that's just part of how we grew up. And that's how you learn a business, is by being in it with everyone else.
Well, I think that there's a uniqueness that, especially strong women, not unlike yourself, like there's a fine line that we have to walk of being soft and having a personality, but also being able to stay on task and being able to get things done. Is that something that y'all have experienced as you kind of come up through and as you've tried to kind of make the company your own?
I have a different like personality type from my dad and my sister. So I lead with my emotions. So I bring a different perspective to things. And I mean, again, like, it's not that I never use logic. It's just that my first route is emotion. So that's a different type of personality that our families use, that the industry's used to. So in a way, it kind of helps me stand out in a different way. Like, I have employees that tell me almost too much, but I'm also honored that I remind them, like, hey, you don't have to tell me that detail. Like, oh no, it's cool. So I take it as a badge of honor that people tell me that kind of stuff, and that I feel like it makes it and I'm genuinely interested, and I can show that to a person that's talking to me at a trade show or that kind of thing. So I would say, like, my personal growth has been really just finding my place, because there hasn't been a place for a personality type like me in this industry, but there is a place for emotion. There is a place for the human side, and that's where our superpowers as a family-owned business is. If we lose the heart of a family-owned business, like, that's most of the appeal.
All right, you got to follow that one up, sister.
Dang it, I should have gone first.
I was like, she should go first, but
well, so much for thinking about people. No,
just
I think,
you.
I mean, so like what KelCee said, like, you know, I truly value the family owned experience as well, because that's the feedback we receive, is that they don't want to just be seen as a number like that. They're seen as a person. And I definitely see them as people. I may not know as much personally as KelCee would know, but I'm able to, that's my goal, is to, are they being safe? How's the production? How can I make their job easier? So that's how I show my caring, is just in a different way. So again, it's all encompassing, care about the people, because we know in the very end, you can have and we say this all the time, you can have the best equipment, you can pay for the best database, but if you don't have the people to run it that you trust, and that you make their job easier, and they are the value. Like, they are the greatest investment we have, and that's not going to change even with automation and all that stuff. So I truly believe that in caring for the company, like the machinery, getting the best machinery, safest machinery, making the job easier for our employees, that helps enhance their performance, their production. Because again, our main goal is we want them to come home in the same condition they came to work in. They all have their families, and because we do, but we also want to be the best, and we want to create the best atmosphere, environment, product, service, and that starts with our people. Like, if we don't take care of our people, then how can we show that we take care of customers but not our people?
It kind of seems to me like y'all being the mirror of one another is also in how you're running your business. Is that something that really contributes to the success that you were cognizant of, or is that something that you've just kind of leaned into as a default? Like, this is who we are, so we have to do it this way.
I think it's something that isn't fully realized yet. I think we're still kind of fledglings at this point when thinking about how do we make that our own personal leadership style, because our dad, great business mind. He wouldn't be where he was if he wasn't intelligent. I mean, we love seeing him work and do his thing, but we aren't him. So we have to create our own voice, and just getting comfortable with that, where in a society and how you're raised to be in the background, don't be pushy, don't be, as a woman, I think that resonates with me, is that I was always in learning mode. I'm always in observing learning mode, but now I gotta step forward and actually share my ideas and make decisions, which I have no problem doing with now. But that took a lot of time to gain the confidence to do that. But it goes both ways. You gotta have the people you're working with be open to it, and you gotta know that that's an opportunity. If you can do the job, that's all I care about. But if women don't know that opportunity is there, then it's not going to work. So And that manufacturing, you're going to get a good living. I mean, our starting wage is $21 an hour. So it's not like it's minimum wage and your blood, sweat, and tears is for minimum wage. Like you are being paid because the job is hard, the entry level. But the people are great. Like if you have the best team out there and you're all busting it out together. I mean, I've been there. Like there's a cross up, we all dive in and we do that. We unplug the blower when the blower's plugged, because you got to get production going and you got to do your part, and you're part of a system. Like you can't be a show off and shove all this wood down the line and think, oh, I look good because I was able to get this wood through fast, but then I screwed up for everybody downriver. You know, it's a team effort, team atmosphere. And I've always believed there's a place for everybody, just like KelCee was saying too, is you need that person that can be at the lug loader and can make sure the wood is in the lug every day. And that's all they do. They clock in, clock out. I forget what book it was, but they call those rock stars because they're consistent. They're who you need. They're supported. They're fine. But you also need your shooting stars, right? The ones that aren't satisfied with just being on the breakdown hoist. They want to learn the planer in feed. They want to learn grading. They want to learn tray chasing. They want to work the stacker. They want to run the head rake. Those are the people you need, but you got to keep them hungry, and and it's fun to have those people that go, I want more, I want more. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. It's very rare to have someone go, hey, I need more stuff to do.
And what do you do to encourage that, KayCee?
So at the sawmill in particular, so most everyone, about 95% of anyone who's an operator within the sawmill came from the green chain. There's some that come from packaging, but most of the time they have to start on the green chain. And if they can make the units the right number of layers and the right pieces and pull it in the right grades, and they go, hey, I'm interested in advancing, what do we do? Well, you can be a grader. So then you work to be a grader. And then, hey, I want to learn more. Okay, you're going to be off bear and you're going to look at pieces, and then you'll move to the trimmer operator, and then you'll move your way up in machine centers. And because we are not a high production sawmill, we are a low production but high quality. Like we're looking for free of heart timber. So I always say quality over quantity. So in order for an operator in the sawmill to get full pay, they have to be certified in 3 separate grades with the PLIB. So the Pacific Lumber Inspection Bureau. So third party needs to have their card, need to maintain their card with audits. But in order to get full pay there, you need to be certified, because again, we are all quality control at this company. It doesn't matter where, if you're at the planer, if you're at the lamb plant, if you're at the sawmill, quality, quality, quality. That's the only thing that matters, is obviously, well, safety, quality, and production. So you got to do it safely. You got to make it correct, because that's all we have. That's the only difference we have. All our products the same, but all we can provide is quality and service. So that is, and it has to do with the people. And if the machinery is down, our dad instilled in us, we'd rather take the hit of buying more spares so we don't have downtime. We have excellent uptime at the sawmill. Like it's over 99% uptime. And so in order to do that, we have an excellent maintenance crew, which we also do a program with the community college. Lane Community College is, if someone's interested in being a millwright, which those guys come from green chain, those guys sometimes come from the outside, that if they go to Lane and they pass their class, we will 100% reimburse them with a C or better. And then they can also work here and get their hours, because we have certified millwrights that can sign for their hours, and our general manager is ahead of that. And so everyone except for one of our millwrights right now, it came from the green chain and went through our program.
We are still in we need women pioneers still in this industry. We are a lot better than we were even just KayCee's tenure. Like when she first started going to conventions, like the percentage of women is increasing every year. And then women being in power positions. So we are seeing improvement. And also, this is my advice I give to any like female, like we had a woman that just joined a sales team and she was really nervous, and we happened to be talking to her and we said, hey, just be yourself, because the more genuine come across. This industry is full of genuine people, and when you aren't, you're on a blacklist, and everyone knows that. So your reputation is very important in this industry. And as far as your question about hearing these stories, like, I love that we hire from the inside. There is a little bit of a ladder, and I would say some people, it's not the tallest ladder, because again, we're not the biggest company. We have under 200 employees, and we have 4 locations, but there's only so far up you can go. Our supervisors are young. They have hopefully decades left till they retire. So that's another thing too. So I can imagine some people leave because, like, okay, there's nowhere I can move up here. I'm going to move on. And as long as we're on good terms, we have brought people back multiple times. There are people that leave and realize, hey, the grass really isn't greener on the other side, and they beg to come back. So that's really cool as well to add on to our success with our apprenticeship program. Or you have people that we had to let go because of substance issues, and they completely understood, and a few years later they came back and they proved that they were recovering and doing well, and they're very thankful for the second chance. So I think that's what makes us special. We're not this mystery, like, corporation running this company. Like, people get to see us around. They're like, we're not just these like mystery owners, and I think that's really special. Like, KayCee just won, she got nominated and won Young Lumber Person of the Year in December for the Portland Wholesale Lumber Association. That's huge. And it's so cool that it was a woman, and it was KayCee, because she was out and about in the industry for years, and then I came along, and again, different personality, but what a cool person to follow behind. Like, she leaves a great reputation behind nothing but glowing reviews for her, and I'm so proud of her.
You know, I'm still on here, right?
Oh, shit.
I did not cut out.
I thought you cut out. Damn it.
How does that kind of work together as you're propelling this business as the next generation, this business forward?
I haven't been out in the social world as much as KayCee, but just the effect of KayCee being out there first, I think was the best choice, because she is more extroverted and more chatty with you. I mean, I'm an extroverted introvert, so I like to observe first. I like to observe and then I move in, and that's not probably the best when it's like the face of a company. So that, like, having her out there first to warm up the crowd, I guess to say, was the best part, because it makes some funny moments. Like, I've had men come up to hug me and say hi, and I'm like, hi, I don't know you. So that's been really interesting. And that's happened more than once. Happened at trade show just this last November. They're talking to me and they're looking at my face like, why are you acting like you don't know me? I'm like, because I don't. So yeah, it creates some interesting moments. So
I mean, to get it from my point of view, I think it's cringier personally when men have to say, it's so nice to see women here, or they make a big show of it. Like, to me, that's cringy. Where if KelCee gets recognized, I'm thrilled. Like, especially if it's like, I know she worked so hard on this, and I'm so glad that she got recognized. But you're not going to get away from the twin thing. You're not going to get away from the woman thing, and I don't want that to be the focal point. Personally, for me, I understand why it is, but I mean, Vadim knows this. I've said it from the very beginning. It's like, I don't want that to be the only thing you remember from talking with us. It's about our awesome, like, we are 4 generations. Like, we worked with our grandpa. Like, he had an office and he would wander downstairs at 80 years old, 85. And how many people can say they worked with their dad and their grandpa in the same building? And being able to have that wonderful experience just down the hall, and being able to share all the new stuff and how excited Grandpa would be when we started the lamb plant. And I wish he would have been here when we started the Portland airport, because I know he just would have been tickled pink. And never mentioning once anything he did to keep this company alive. And Dad would never talk about that either. And, I think that kind of goes into this modern age where, with this mass timber movement and the forest fires and all these things, we're in a mode that wood is good. We've been in the shadows for so long, and they're used to being secretive. They're used to being like, okay, well, I know that there's industry people that are proud of what we do and like what we do, but we don't need the world. The world doesn't, and so when we got the Portland, Oregon airport job, I talked to the Port of Portland going, hey, this is your chance. This is your chance to make recovered wood from forest fires a positive. It's damage to make into beauty. This is using it to a beautiful purpose. And when I talked about it in 2021, they weren't receptive to it just because there's still that negative connotation. But you're seeing end of 23 and even 24, you're seeing more commercials for, we need to manage our forest, Biden passing like the Forest Care Act or whatever it's called, So there's more, hey, we need to manage when they've been neglecting the forest for so long. And that's why the forests are so bad. I always love talking about Weyerhaeuser and their property they have at Mount St. Helens, that you can see their managed forest. It's a live study from, 80, was it 87, 88, prior to all of us by many, many years. Lots.
6 months, maybe.
Yes, I think it was a year. But
okay, so I'm the oldest, but yeah.
So then that way it's showing not a modern, this is how it's going to be when you manage your forest, but Weyerhaeuser did it 35 years ago, and that is a modern look at the state federal land on Mount St. Helens next to the Weyerhaeuser. Weyerhaeuser is flourishing. It's so healthy. And I love talking about that. I love their presentations on it. I want it available to everybody because it's in the past, showing how good the forest industry has been. And we can now be out of the shadows because this mass timber movement of the public loving wood again. And this is our chance. We're an internally modest, like shadowy industry, right? Just like I was saying, but now, especially with trying to get the young people interested and social media and LinkedIn and everything, you need to show you're with it. That's the only way someone not knowing the industry at all is going to go, wow, this looks kind of cool, because you're showing. You have to actually let people in now to show this wonderful world that we've always known about, that has always been there. And we may change, it's not wood products degree. You got to change it to recycling, environmental, or to make it sound
renewable
like
resources.
Yeah, whatever. but again, does it really matter if you're bringing more people into this industry, especially really smart, bright, driven people that can see, wow, this really is renewable. Like doing mill tours. People with Joe, our general manager, normally goes, okay, guys, how much % of the log is used? You'll get 75%. You'll get 80. He goes 100%. And usually about half the people go, wow, I had no idea. And so if we can do that on a bigger scale, and that's what the Port of Portland really has done a good job of showing that it's local and wood is good. And because it means something more coming from the Port of Portland than it does me as Zip-O-Log Mills, because it appears to be self-serving. Where KelCee's story about the salesperson, it was not from our company. She was from another company who has no interest in working with us at this time. but it's not about just promoting ourselves. We need to promote the industry. Like for me, getting promoted to lumber person of the year, it was a fellow female person that I have a relationship with, who was our customer. So, I mean, cause she didn't qualify for the number of years because it was like a minimum and she was over it, but I was really appreciative because she's an amazing person herself. I mean, there's so many amazing, young, driven people, but but we're all worried about, we're all old enough now, worrying about the next generation. How do we get these new people in? We always tried keeping, how do you make lumber sexy? Well, it's not that hard. I mean, sawdust is just man glitter, right?
Yeah, and like leading into what KayCee was saying, so like that brought us into, I think, like meeting Koval at the time that we did was very fortuitous for us. We had the Portland airport, but we needed, so we're like, okay, we have to look more professional. And so we met at Mass Timber, and our booth was sad. Like we thought we did a good job. Like I'm like, okay, this is like above and beyond. Like, because again, going to the lumber
We had
event
a TV.
Nala.
We had a big TV.
We did. We had a huge TV. And and it's just like, man, and then we could see the disappointment on some people's faces that were like, oh, this company did the airport, like this cute little tiny, like unprofessional looking. And we're like, okay, we have to do something. And like, and also the other part that we ran up against that KayCee and I have also experienced is we've been wanting to update our website for a long time. I headed a movement and did it a few years ago before Koval came on. I mean, it looked like a MySpace page before because they didn't see, like had different colored fonts and stuff. Yeah, but again, it was better than it was the previous because it was just like a one page like, hi, we're Zip-O-Log Mills, come talk to us. Like that's all it was. So KayCee and I have been pushing for years to try and update us. But when you have higher ups that don't see the value in it, because again, what does that bring to the bottom line? How can you measure that? So I think that's probably what KayCee and I's long game success is probably going to be looking like, because we modernized it enough that because our website was more up to date, we hired in one of our newest sales guys a few years ago because he's like, okay, they actually seem like they won't be too old fashioned, because that's a worry for a lot of young people entering the industry and wanting to work somewhere. So that's just something that I think KayCee and I bring to the table is we are trying to keep modern. We are trying to keep us relevant. And that's why we had to fight pretty much tooth and nail to get the sawmill logo updated for the first time in 80 years last year. So, and there were tears. I'm sure there were tears behind closed doors that KayCee and I did this. But there's been a huge positive response from our employees. They're just like, man, it was time. And they're excited for the swag. Like they're excited to be a part of this legacy. It's become a legacy because we're in our 80th year this year.
80 years is a long time. Are you nervous that you might screw it up?
Always.
No pressure. No pressure. I say that all the time.
Well, because studies show it's usually the third generation. So Dad was supposed to screw it up, but now he just handed it off to us. So we're like, thanks, Dad.
No, you're in the clear. You're in the clear.
It should be good.
That just means it's more pressure.
I was trying.
No,
throw your life on, and you're like, not this one.
Right, but it's something like, obviously we talk about it with just each other, talk about it with our dad, because obviously, so he was very open with us if we wanted to work here or not, because if you work for a family business, you have to love it. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There will be times where you question, is it worth it? Because it's really hard to separate, for me and my dad anyway, work and personal. Like we would have a meeting for like 3 hours, and then I'd be like, oh yeah, Mom said she wants this to grab at the store before I head to you guys' house for dinner. Like it'd be like, oh shit, forgot to bring up the personal thing. But we're working on that. That was never a problem for KelCee, but no, but it's because we love it. Like it's because we love talking about it. We have someone, and luckily, my husband loves hearing about it. When he went on a tour looking at all the big machinery, he was like, "This is so cool," and he got to know the guys through going to all the company events But it is a labor of love. Like it is, if you don't have passion for it, especially looking at the numbers are against us, they can't think about it that way. What we've always seen with our grandpa and with our dad was, what's next? Like what's the next improvement we can make to the mill? And that's what he's always, like, our dad's always been really good at, looking forward and making a educated decision and there's always risk involved. People who have never owned their own business or haven't done anything like this don't realize, I mean, it's our money. Like it's our money, and us putting faith, especially on a huge project where we got to count on other people. Like that's our livelihood. Like we're not doing this for fun. I mean, it's not bad to say we're in the business to make money. I mean, unless we're working for the government who's going to, supplement
kind of.
all this kind of stuff, then it's not a negative to say you're in it to make money, because how else are you going to keep everybody employed and can move forward if you don't make money? I mean, our dad went through a really, really rough time in 87 to 89. That's when the mill was like, are we ever going to start again? There was no logs left. And he took a huge risk. I mean, he bought some logs hoping to get some recovery out of them, and happened to start the mill up. They went from old growth to the second growth, and they totally redid the mill to accommodate for that, and it ended up working out. But a lot of those mills, they couldn't either start up again, or when they did, they still couldn't make ends meet. And his saying was, if you make a dime, you can run forever. And so he's been in those times, and it's really, really impactful to get our dad and our general manager to tell the story, because they were both there in the trenches. They were there in the super hard times when it's like, we love what we do, but if we can't make it work. Anyways.
Yes.
You just brought up anyway. Talk to me about the Portland Airport and what that project entailed, what that was. Like for folks that don't know, give me a 30-second synopsis.
You can just join us for our therapy sessions on Thursdays at 4. I'm still recovering.
Is it PTSD journey?
Yes.
Success.
There you go. Only a 10-second review. No, it was the most exhilarating, challenging, terrifying experience of my life. But out of it, I realized I have the best group of people to work with that I can trust within the company, and how relationships were key in that. If it wasn't with our relationship with Swinnerton Builders, which is now Timber Lab, and then their relationship with Hobman Skanska, and then Port of Portland, without all of those relationships and their openness to communication and hearing ideas and us taking a risk, and they took a risk on us, because that's the only way it would have worked. And it ended up working. I can sleep at night now, but it's the biggest order our company has had, either laminated or solid sawn ever. Like there's nothing that's even close to it.
What was ordered?
What
was ordered?
So Zip-O-Laminators created 97%, so 220 80-foot long curves that went from 16 feet tall. So when it does the curve, 0 up to 16 foot, and then down to straight, and 111 inches deep is the deepest one. And so we did all those. We did the skylights, and then for the sawmill, the 6x8. If you ever walk in the Portland Airport, you go to a storefront or a restaurant, the 6x8s you touch in those posts, that's from Zip-O. So all the way that's surrounding on top of you, and then all that is all Zip-O. And great moment of pride. We were able to take the laminators crew up, even at the staging side of the job. They're able to actually see one of the huge beams get craned into place. So big kudos to Swinnerton for having the idea to have us come over, because they, took 8 of them part of their day, and they got us lunch, and they brought the bus down and back for us. And I mean, it was incredible to have them be able to say, I walked on the rooftop of the Portland Airport. I got to walk the staging area. And then we had a group of people come in October of 23 when it's actually all installed for the most part, where it's going to be in place. And they're opening in May of this year. So we're so excited. And the lights are going to pop up because there's also lattice that crisscrosses above them to be a basket weave. That's the vision that they wanted. But there'll be light shooting down and up. There's live olive trees that are going to be in the airport, and they don't produce seeds because they're the males. And so they're not going to have that mess of it. They thought of everything. I mean, it's going to be phenomenal. It's epic. No one's going to miss that carpet because the new floor is amazing. And I am so privileged to have been a part of it. And I'm glad if I didn't have the team in place, if I didn't have my operations manager, John, I would not have attempted this. So without John, without the work of Clement and Jackie and Kierman and everyone, it wouldn't have been possible.
KayCee, that's a huge deal. The fact that Zip-O going from, early days, the story that I know that's, we've heard before offline of the podcast, but maybe in another episode, we could go deeper and hear that story. But truly from it going, a company that was fledgling, like you explained, with your grandfather to your father to building it up and building the Zip-O-Log Mills, the sawmill itself, and then being able to start the facility that does the mass timber beams, the glulams, these amazing giant large format beams with these insane curves like you're explaining, and to be able to deliver that to the Portland airport. I mean, that's just such a moment of pride for you and the whole team at Zip-O.
Definitely. But it really complements both companies because they're both custom. So even though we thought there'd be competition with the products, it really complements each other, different world, but all custom, high quality. That's our goal, is any kind of structural, high visual you want. We want you to be one-stop shop here.
Can you paint quickly a picture of, we've talked about Zip-O, but there's multiple businesses involved and what you do. Can you just give us the elevator pitch on what is Zip-O, or what are the pieces of Zip-O?
So the pieces of Zip-O, we have a separate log yard that's on 8 acres where we sort our logs as we get them for certain cuts of sizes of items. If you need a big timber, we have certain diameters and grades for those. Then it goes to the sawmill, which is on 11 acres in Eugene. It's the only sawmill within the city limits in Eugene, and that's where all the cutting happens. We can cut logs up to 60 inches in diameter on the butt end, and we could cut up to 52 feet long. And then any wood that needs to be sorted by length or after planing, we take them to our Goshen facility, which we purchased in 2013, where we have a tray sorter that does about 75% of our shipping as well, because we have a rail spur that goes out there. And then we have our kilns at our custom/glulam department. And we're going to build kilns at our Goshen facility to then be able to take that out of the rotation. We have our own truck fleet that transfers lumber and logs all day long to get to all separate locations. If someone wants to start a GoFundMe to have us all have it in one place, I would really appreciate it. Just need like $100 million. Thanks.
That's awesome.
Well, I can't write you that check, so.
I guess I'd been GoFundMe, that way you can get started. But yeah, that's a custom. That's what we just want to do, is just give you that. Like our little tagline is, think it can't be done, ask us.
Was that part of your grandfather's vision for the facility was going to move into the future, was custom cutting?
For him, it was open to that. When he got in the mill, they were doing a lot of export. So most of those, versus now, which is pretty much zero. We don't do any export anymore. It was mostly going to like Italy and Japan, China. So Italy was for the olive orchards. And so I think for him, because it's grandpa, he would make some smart ass little, like, if we just made a buck, we'd do it, So like we were building the mill, and we were taking down the old mill, and he's like, I'm surprised it's still standing, because they just threw like rocks in it to like get the stuff in it. So no, grandpa would have been like, whatever we needed to do to make, whatever people needed. He just would have been proud of Dad, and super proud of Dad and what he had to deal with the spotted owl, and because they had just my dad and his cousin just bought them out prior to the spotted owl really taking effect. So okay. So that was a good time for them to do that. But so there's a lot of respect. I have so much respect for every sawmill that has survived to this point. We are survivors. There's a reason we're here, and it's because of the people having the passion, desire, grit to do it. Because anyone who's a mill now went through all this shit. And there's going to be another time, which we're all thinking it's now with the economy. So that's when we turn to the guys that have the experience of the down times. We've had really good times since like 2012. There's been little dips here and there, but ever since I've been officially on the payroll in the industry, have not really seen a bad time. So this is where we really gotta listen to our old guys now and have the grit to push through. KelCee and I didn't have women to be our role models, right? Mm-hmm. We had our dad who went, "Do you guys want to try?" And we're like, "Sure." And then we had Grandpa who was like, "This is cool that you're here," So we had men raise us to that, gave us the opportunity to rise. So it's so hard for me because I didn't have that woman that was like, "Ooh, she blazed the trail for me. What an inspiration." But I know that happens for a lot of people. I understand that. But for me, it's hard because I didn't have that. And yet it's because of my dad being open, because of us proving ourselves that we got to where we are. Just like any other child or person, I would hope, that goes into a job, because my dad would have been brutally honest if KelCee and I really, hey, you really shouldn't be here.
Well, so perhaps that means that you're doing that for some other little girl somewhere out there.
I just keep doing me, and I hope everyone else does too, and just focus on, doing your job and focusing on that, and not going for don't go for the punch card of thinking, hey, I should hire this person over this one because of how they look, because then we're going backwards.
Absolutely. So. KayCee and KelCee, you both were a huge example in what's possible, and it's exciting. And thanks for the conversation. Thanks for sharing unique stories that, how you've grown up and challenges, the things that you've learned over your career. I think there's an opportunity for a part 2 to this conversation, because there's a lot more to unpack in terms of what's possible and where you're going in the future. But I just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity to have this conversation, to be able to understand you better, to share with our audience about, the things you are working on daily that then build up the bigger, what people see from the outside is the Zip-O family. And it's really been great to work with you, collaborate with you, and see you being able to be real with us and with our audience here on the podcast. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And thank you both for reaching out and having us on.
Absolutely. We're going to actually have Jake work on that.
Ooh, fun.
I hope you enjoy this recording, Jake. Just a few minutes of me waiting around. Unless you guys can all see me, that'd be funny. Ugh.
So Jake's going to have to just slice that whole off. But still, the question's valid. So give it to me, girl.
So
how does it make you feel?
Go ahead, KelCee.
Can I talk for like a minute?
Only one.
So okay, start your timer. I guess I want to add on to the other question real quick. So, I
want to make a side note that Jake is not relevant to the podcast. It's Jake. Jake's got so much slicing he's got to do. He didn't want to wake up.
Don't put that in. Don't put that in.
He didn't want to wake up. It's
just me cussing, KayCee, not the compliment.
No, bleep her out, guys. Bleep her out.
Just the whole thing, yeah.
Well, I think that brings up an interesting point.
Ooh, good job, Button Boy. You can stay.
And now for the grand opening.
Ooh.
All right.
Woodworld podcast.
Check out. So before we really hit this thing off,